In this video, we'll talk about the different worlds one can visit during an ayahuasca journey according to Shipibo Amazon cosmology. As a point of comparison, we'll compare it to the traditional shamanic belief system according to anthropologist and shamanic teacher Michael Harner. See the full video on my YouTube page. I'll also link to it below. I've had the privilege of attending an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. During dinner, the shaman, Maestro Americo Lopez Sanchez, shared with our group the Shipibo cosmology about the different worlds we visit during the ayahuasca ceremony. I was so enthralled with what he had to say that I decided to make this video. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the middle world. The shaman, Americo, who from this point on I'm just going to refer to as the shaman, just called the middle world our world. In the middle world, it's been said that there are lost spirits inhabiting the world. And it's one of the reasons I avoid it while I psychedelically travel on mushrooms or ayahuasca. But the Shipibos believe that plant as well as animal spirits live in our world. Some of these spirits can be helpful for the ayahuasca trip. For example, the shamans connect with the spirit of the ayahuasca vine itself. They can do this by ingesting the brew. By connecting with this spirit, they can ask it for help. Connecting with plant and animal spirits is helpful to bring the group of ayahuasca participants to certain worlds that are better for healing. These worlds are more beautiful and are safer for participants. The shaman primarily talked about bringing us all to the space world, which we'll take a look at in a bit. Before we look at the space world, let's take a look at the lower world. Traditionally, the lower world is said to be full of trees, jungles, and forests. In comparison, the Shipibo shaman, Americo, called this instead the water world. He said it was filled with mostly water. The water world is supposed to contain all spirits of water. The strongest spirit of them all is a giant snake, often in the form of a boa or anaconda, named Ronin. The shaman would connect with the spirits of the water world to gain strength for the upcoming ayahuasca journey. Next, let's take a look at the upper world. This is traditionally said to be filled with stars and crystal cities. In the case of the cities, the shaman never really mentioned anything about these crystal cities. Instead, he simply called this world space, and said that space was the best place to speak to the moon, sun, and other stars, because that's where they lived. The energy in space is said to be really strong and ideal for healing. Now, how does a shaman access these worlds? In traditional shamanic culture, described by Michael Harner, there are doors that lead to these worlds. In Shipibo culture, it is believed that instead of the traditional door, such as a tree, that drinking the brew, ayahuasca, combined with the magic songs the shamans sing called Icaros, can take one to these worlds. Icaros, by the way, are not just music, but they can be represented by patterns called kene. Traditional shamanic beliefs, according to Michael Harner, describe barriers to pass through to reach these worlds. These include clouds as a barrier to the upper world, and tunnels as transition points to the lower world. The shaman in our center did not describe these. Instead, he said the main barrier to cross would be what Michael Harner called the interworlds. Traditionally, the interworld is described as dark and murky. The Shipibo shaman at our retreat center described it similarly, but he simply just called it the dark world. And instead of it being a barrier from our world to the water world and our world to the space world, he talked about it in terms of it just being a barrier to the space world. A shaman is said to have dieted certain plants for years and is said to have followed certain rules to be able to bring the entire group of ayahuasca participants through the dark world into space. To do this, during ceremony, a shaman may need to sing certain icaros for extended periods of time, as well as connect with the spirits of the water world and plant and animal spirits of our world in order to bring participants through the dark world into space. From my understanding, in space, the healing process continues and can reach its maximum potential. That's what I learned about Shipibo cosmology during my ayahuasca retreat. I definitely see the similarities between the two systems, but I also see the differences. My theory is that maybe different shamanic journeying methods, such as drumming with no plant medicines versus singing icaros while ingesting ayahuasca, can help determine the type of journey one has, including the different types of worlds one is able to access. Alright, so that's the end of this video. In future videos, I'll cover in more detail psychedelic shamanic topics, such as the various doors to other realms. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or hitting that subscribe button. Or consider sticking around on the channel to listen to some music and enjoy some original art. Also, please consider checking out our online art store. Links to any reference material for this video should be found in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryzen. I'll see you later.